What's up, everyone? My name is Shawn Hinz, and welcome to our Wednesday Wellness Check-In powered by Providence Sports Medicine. Today, I'm so excited to introduce our special guest, the Chief Operation Officer from Special Olympics Oregon, Mark Hanken. Mark, welcome to the show.
Hey, Shawn, thanks. I've been watching you do these interviews all summer and really proud of the work you're doing.
Thank you so much. But before we get started, how you doing today? How's everything? How's your week been going?
Doing great. It's definitely interesting times, having to get creative with what we're doing. I have two daughters at home that oftentimes during the summer we would be traveling around for soccer tournaments, different family gatherings. I have a lot of family throughout the Pacific Northwest. Instead, though, we're finding creative ways to go on bike rides, spend a lot of time walking our dog. It has more dog walks in the last few months than she probably did in her entire life before that. So, an energetic chocolate lab who likes having us.
That's so cool. That's so neat. And how old is your dog, if I may ask?
So Mabel will be 5 in November, but she still acts a lot like a puppy.
Aw, that's so cute. You're gonna have to show me your dog sometime.
I'll send you some pictures.
Awesome. And how long have you been working for Special Olympics Oregon?
So I started with Special Olympics Oregon in 2003, but I actually started my career in Special Olympics in 1998. So I've been doing this for more than 22 years. I started with Special Olympics Texas and was in charge of sports, competition, and games for Texas. So got to meet a lot of great people, travel all over the big state of Texas to put on competition and games, and then had the opportunity. I grew up in the Pacific Northwest, went to college in Oregon at Willamette University. So it was a homecoming for my wife and I to come back to Oregon in 2003 and be a part of Special Olympics Oregon since then.
Wow, that's cool. And all your time being involved with the Special Olympics Oregon, as well as other organizations, what has been your favorite memory or favorite highlight in your career working?
Wow, that's a great question because there's been a lot. And in some ways, it's almost more about themes than it is one experience. And so if I can explain it that way, I would say a couple of the themes would be just watching the evolution of unified sports. When I first started in the late 90s, unified had been around for a little while, but it wasn't widespread within Special Olympics the way it is now. And to watch inclusive sport take place, and especially in our school programs, the way that has grown, but even in our community programs. When I got here in 2003, we had started talking about adding the sport of bocce. And our strategy was, when we first launched that sport, we launched it as unified only to help it grow, but also to promote unified sports. And I know you live in Benton County. Benton County was one of the first programs, fun fact, to start a bocce program. And our very first bocce competition had like 8 or 10 teams. And now we will have 20 courts at one of our regional bocce tournaments. And that court is, all day from 10 in the morning till 4 in the afternoon, we're running competitions where at the very same time we have 20 courts with 4 people competing, doubles teams competing against each other. But we've now expanded where we have individual athletes who compete in bocce as well as pairs of 2 athletes playing traditional. But just to watch a sport start from scratch and grow.
Yeah.
So that's been not a single experience, but sort of over time watching something. Other things I think about is oftentimes when I'm working on the planning side of an event, and I know you've gotten into some of the organizing and management as well as competing, so you've seen the other side of the experience. You put a lot of thought and care, and everybody's putting all this work into it, making sure you check in your lists, everything's ready that morning. I know athletes are getting on buses and traveling to the event. They've got their butterflies. As organizers, we have those butterflies in our stomach too, because we want to make sure everything goes well. And just watching people get off the bus or walk through the gate at the stadium, and you can just see and feel the energy grow. So that moment, you experience it over and over again at every event. I would say, those are experiences that always give me energy to continue doing this work.
That's really neat. And for people that are watching, I have seen Mark in action, helping plan all these events. And it's so cool to see him in action because he doesn't just plan, he just puts a lot of passion and a lot of heart into what he does. And so I also just want to compliment you on all the work that you do. And what you do is so amazing. I think it's so cool to, what you do for your job. It's just so awesome to see you in action.
Well, thanks, Shawn. Sports is all about teamwork, and I think Special Olympics embodies that in so many different ways with our athletes, our volunteers, our coaches, families.
Yes. And in the beginning, you were talking about how you were adjusting to the new ways of life in general for the COVID-19. You've been talking about how you had been walking your dogs more often. So is there anything else that you've been adjusting, like things that you can do that keeps your motivation up and your positivity up? Are there other things that you do?
Yeah, so definitely been riding my bike more. My daughters and I will kick the soccer ball around in our yard. They've both taken on, I think, a new way of practicing. They do a lot of virtual with their coaches through the computer. They'll get practice sessions. And we've been doing soccer juggling, where you just try to keep the ball in the air with your feet or your thighs or your head. Just don't use your hands. And watching them grow their skills has been fun. But, other than that, I think we've watched my older daughter, Claire, and I had started watching Stranger Things. So I've watched it all the way through. So this is her first time through. We already made it to season 3. So we've been doing a little binge watching as well.
Nice. And now I'm on to the fun questions. If you could travel anywhere in the world right now, if there wasn't any COVID-19, where would you go?
Good question. I was in the middle of ski season. For me, I love to go up to the mountains. And so I usually ski a lot in the springtime. Like I know in Oregon, we get a lot of late snow. The weather starts to get warm. I find that to be a really fun time to go up to the mountains and go skiing. With COVID-19 hitting and mountains shutting down and everything being where it was with stay at home, ski season was shorter this year. And so I guess to chase a little bit of that snow, I'd probably go somewhere. Right now, the Southern Hemisphere is in the part of their winter. So probably like New Zealand, and maybe go skiing and explore. I've never been there. It always sounded like a fun place to go. So maybe New Zealand, get in some skiing and some exploring.
That's cool. New Zealand. You have to tell me if you do go one day. Tell me all about it.
I will for sure. I would love to go.
And a superhero ability, what would you choose and why?
Superhero ability. I think maybe if I could slow down time or have the ability to get more done in a day. I always feel like there's so many things I want to do and you can get most of them done. But if I could slow down time, add extra hours to the day, if that counts as a superpower, just to be able to, do all the things you want to do the way you want to do them.
That's a good one. I never thought about that. That's actually a really good superpower. Good choice.
And I guess part of that too would be then I could sleep a little bit more.
Oh, yes. Yes. That's a plus.
I like my sleep, but sometimes you can't always get in your 7-8 hours, right?
Yeah, that's true. Oh my gosh, I didn't think about that. And as you probably know, I love eating. Food is a huge thing for me. So what is your favorite food? And what's something that you couldn't live without?
So for me, it's usually I'll go in phases where I'll just really be into something that I'll eat a lot of, and then I might burn out on it and then move on to something else. Right now, I'm in a smoothie mode. So I need smoothies, and I would say peaches, blackberries. I'll sprinkle in a little spinach, but really I do all of this because I've been trying to use some plant-based protein powder. I have a chocolate flavored one and a vanilla. And if you just mix it in water, doesn't taste very good. So if you add all these fruits and veggies to it, you get the extra stuff, but it also hides that flavor. With the chocolate one, I've mixed in cold brew coffee, gives me a little kick in the morning. Or with the vanilla one, I like to add the fruit smoothies to it. So I would say smoothies. I definitely love my pasta, but probably not as much as you. I know you're the noodle man.
Yeah,
So.
I am. Yeah, I love pasta. And before we move on, are you the cook in the family? Do you cook for everyone, or are you like the other way around? Are you the eater instead? Because I'm the eater. I'm not the cook in the house. What is it like for you?
You know, I think we definitely share the responsibilities within our house. And as my daughters get older, I have one that's going into high school. Claire's going to be a 9th grader, and Lucy, our younger, is a 7th grader. And they're both contributing more to cooking. My youngest, Lucy, actually really likes to bake. And so I'm the eater when it comes to anything she'll bake. As far as cooking meals go, my wife is more adventurous with new recipes that are more complicated. I'm more the griller. Like if we're grilling burgers or chicken or something outside that I can put on the grill, I like to roast veggies. So we share the responsibilities.
That's cool. Well, you're gonna have to invite me to a meal. Not that I'm inviting myself right now.
Oh yeah, when we can get back together, I would love that.
Sweet.
Yeah, I don't know if I can make noodles the same way your mom does, but we can try.
Awesome. No problem. I look forward to it. So Mark, before I get too hungry, we talked about discussing the importance of sun safety, and since it's so hot recently, and our friends at Providence Sports Medicine sent us some really helpful tips and information. Should we share that with our friends of Special Olympics Oregon Active?
Yeah, I think that'd be great.
All right. Well, let's get into it. So the first one is our body needs a lot of vitamin D to thrive. So did you guys know that we can get our vitamin D a couple of different ways? We can get it through exposing our bodies to the sun. We can also get it through the things that we eat. It's very important and healthy to get some sunshine in your diet. But experts suggest that most of this vitamin D through our diet instead of sun exposure, because if you get too much sun, that can be really bad. Fortified foods and drinks as well as supplements can get our bodies what they need without getting the exposure of sun. Such as whole grains, eggs, skim milk, grains, and rice are examples of fortified foods and drinks. Our food choices can benefit our skin, which is very, very true. Foods rich in antioxidants such as vitamin A, C, and E, and zinc can help us protect against skin cancer. Skin-friendly foods can include fish, especially salmon. I love salmon. Beans, carrots, yellow and orange fruits and vegetables, broccoli, spinach. Soy and flaxseed has been found to stop the spread of skin cancer. And Mark, do you have information as well?
I do. And as someone who lived in Texas for a number of years and who also has fair skin and tends to freckle and sunburn more than I tan, this is something that I've always had to be very conscious of. So putting on a lot of sunscreen is important. And I think it's important to know your body, but also your history. If you've grown up and you've gotten sunburn over time, that's something that can impact your skin. So I think if something looks suspicious, do skin exams from time to time, check it out, ask your doctor to also check for skin changes. And if you see anything that looks different or suspicious, make an appointment with your healthcare provider or your dermatologist if you have a dermatologist. And if you've been sunburned more than 5 times in your life, you have fair skin like me, with an abundance of freckles or moles, you have a greater risk of developing skin cancer. So you just need to be careful, and it's something that you will have to be mindful of for your entire life. So not just right after you've been out in the sun or maybe gotten sunburned, but it's something that you constantly need to be watching for.
Yes, and all those are especially important. What Mark has touched on, and we are also going to talk about water as well. Water is super important, especially if you're exercising in heat. So whether you're running outside or taking a walk or biking, it's very important to stay hydrated. And it's important to stay hydrated whether there's sun or no sun. Always keep a water bottle in hand. So drink lots of water. They suggest that you drink water before and during and after whatever workout or exercising that you are doing. So a good rule of thumb is to drink 8 to 16 ounces of for every hour that you exercise, and extra if you exercise in heat. So for example, this Gatorade bottle is 62 ounces. No, not 62. 32 ounces. And so I always drink at least 2 full Gatorade bottles of water. You can also add stuff to the water to make it flavor, but I try to stay away from that so I can just get as much water in my body as I can. And lastly, water is best if you exercise for more than an hour. A non-sugary sports drink can help replenish lost electrolytes.
Good advice. And I would say when we're talking about exercising in the heat, there's definitely parts of the day that are better than others. It's been hot lately. We got to close to 100 last,
Yeah.
week. And so definitely think about and plan for the cooler parts of the day. And when you can do so, exercise in the shade. I know trying to get outside as much as we can, get some of that vitamin D for sure, but also manage your sun exposure, thinking about the heat and time of day, because when you exercise when it's too hot, you can get cramps, you can get heat exhaustion, you can even be at risk of heat stroke, which is very dangerous. So if at any point while you're exercising, if you feel lightheaded, dizzy, overheated, stop, get in the shade, get inside where it's cool, rest, drink that water, like Shawn said.
Yes.
And if you don't feel well after an hour, seek some medical attention. Put in a phone call. Right now, telehealth is a big way to get your initial advice, but definitely know your body and be aware of those signs and symptoms around heat-related illness if you're exercising.
Yes. Another thing that we're going to talk about is stretching after exercise, but not before. You can do a gradual warm-up prior to your exercise routine is a great way to get your body ready for work. But static stretching, which is like holding a stretch in one position for 30 seconds or more, it's not really recommended, but it's actually may decrease your performance. Gentle static stretching after exercising, however, can help your recovery faster for your next workout.
Yeah, so Shawn, you're a swimmer amongst other sports.
Yes.
When you dive in the pool, you're not immediately at 100% effort. You kind of get yourself worked into it, get your body flowing and moving. But afterwards, when you've done your full workout, you have expended your energy, that's when your body's warm, your muscles are ready to do that stretching, and it really helps with recovery. Yeah,
it definitely does. And I can totally notice the difference when I do not do my stretches. I can tell a difference when I do or I don't do my stretches. So it definitely has an impact in your performance.
Absolutely.
And Mark, it's been super awesome talking about all these stuff. Do you have anything else to add for the drinking or exercising or sun, all that?
Yeah, I would say put on your sunscreen, put on a hat, wear sunglasses when you're outside. Be really thoughtful about the time of day and how much energy you're going to expend, and know your body. If you feel overheated, take a break and build in rest along the way. Again, being outside's a great thing during the summertime. You just have to be a little more thoughtful. And also, when it's overcast and those clouds are out, but it's still warm, the sun's still behind those, So don't forget the sunscreen and being thoughtful about how your skin is still impacted by the sun, even when it's not maybe bright and shiny outside.
Awesome. And so I think we got that covered. And Mark, has been awesome and such an honor getting to interview you as well in the beginning. Is there any last words of advice or inspiring things that you want to say to our viewers?
Sure. I think, one, really proud of the work that our athlete leaders and volunteers and some of our staff have put into building the SOOR active community on the Facebook group. And just, it's fun to tune in and watch our dance parties, the workouts, the different social hours and experiences that are taking place. We know there are still lots of athletes out there that aren't connected right now. And we know that being socially isolated is hard for everybody, but especially for many of our athletes. And so we're working hard. So I'm just gonna say, stay tuned. In the next few weeks, the next few months, we're working hard to get our athletes more involved for the fall season. So I'll leave that as a teaser, but keep your eyes and ears open for some really cool opportunities this fall to be involved in virtual sports. Keep up the good work, Shawn. Really proud of the work you're doing and really grateful for Providence Health and Services and Sports Medicine for their support and the ability for us to share really important information. Thanks.
Be well, as Mark Hanken says. And with that said, this concludes this week's Wednesday Wellness Check-In. Thank you so much for joining us today, Mark. And huge thanks to our friends at Providence Sports Medicine for their valuable health and wellness information and tips that they provided over the last few months. Thank you all for tuning in, and we hope that you'll join us again next time. I'm your host, Shawn Hinz from the podcast team Hinz, signing off. And remember, everyone, keep being brave in the attempt and stay safe, everyone.
Thanks, Shawn.